I'm going to go live, just to let you know.
You're alive.
Yeah,
Okay. Amen.
you're fine. I'm just preparing the masses. I thought I set a timer for it not to start till 1:15 a.m. But
Right now?
yeah, welcome back. I don't have my phone. I totally came unprepared. Dang. Oh. My magic expert is going to help me out here. I have a viewer, everyone. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where did I put the headphones? I guess I don't need them. Okay. Welcome to it. Let's let everyone come on through the door. Hopefully, Abraham joins us for episode 2 of Wilds of Eldraine, Wandering Knight, Budding Hero. Pretty excited for this one. By Arsenault Rivera. And this one came out August 9th, 2023. Pretty fresh stuff. A little bit over the last one we were learning, going through the beginning stories of this with Rowan and Will. And some crazy stuff to happen if you check out the last episode, which is on my channel. And we also are starting the story of Kellen. Sorry. Kellen, yep. Our hero, probably in episode 2, our budding hero. I'm wondering what the Wandering Knight is. Let's give it about another 1 minute. I'm going to put something in the comments and we will get going, have a sip of water, and let's see. Don't worry, it's not carbonated, so I'll be fine. Well, if you watched my videos, you know I have an issue with carbonated water. I'm okay. I'm okay. It's like some people Pratt fall, I Pratt drink. A lot. Okay, let's see where the pipe got really fucking far. Okay. It's okay. We'll go for the one that might make me cough the rest of this video. That's a smart choice. How's everyone doing today? Hit up that comment box once you jump in. Reading episode 2. We'll jump right into this. Get the mouse out of the way so I don't accidentally close everything. Okay. And of course, this is magic.wizards.com stories. You can find it. And it's about the new set that's coming out, the newest set for Magic the Gathering. So let's get on into it. It's just that. There we go. Across the valleys into the wilds ventures Rowan Kinrith, atop a stout horse with a sharp blade hanging at her hip and sparks dancing from her fingertips. She journeys wherever the winds guide her. Gladly the small folk take her into their homes, offering what little they have. Gladly does Rowan accept their kindness. In the small hours of the night, when they ask her why she is awake, she asks if they've heard where she might find a cure for the wicked slumber. Are you certain you don't long for it? Asked Royce, whose fine weaves even the Fae have come to covet. Rowan has stayed in palaces less well appointed than Royce's house. The Fae bestow gifts upon creators of beauty, it seems. You look like you could use some rest. Rest isn't of any use to me, Rowan answered. Royce, eyes flashing in the dark, tutted beneath her breath. Rest will come for you, whether you like it or not. Best to face it on your own terms, she said. But if you are determined to continue your quest, brave knight, there's a castle not far from here. Its lord died a long time ago, longer ago than your kind remember. My kind. Rowan's grip tightened on her sword. Royce only smiled. The moonlight played upon her skin, and the glamour broke, revealing 8 eyes, 2 chittering mandibles, 8 arms hidden beneath her stole. Whew! Little wandering her weaving fascinating humans and Fae alike. You're Rowan started. Royce set her 2 human hands on her knees. I have promised you shelter and given you food. We are not enemies. Rowan relaxed her grip. She did not sleep that night, but she did learn a little of weaving. In the morning, Royce pointed her the way to the castle, wishing Rowan good fortune on her journey. Its crumbling walls and ancient parapets now welcome her. Parapets, that is the word. Dust cakes her lungs. The farther in she goes. Undead servants rise to meet her blade. Heart hardened against such sights, she slays them, their innards slicking the stone walls. When at least she finds the library, its shelves stand empty. There are no alembics here, no cauldrons for potion crafting, no lost secrets, only whatever the looters have left behind. After all this she has done to get here, after all that blood she has spilled, nothing. Alone in the abandoned castle, Rowan Kenrith becomes a storm. She imagines what her brother would have said if he had saw her here, and this only drives her further into rage. By the time she realizes she has begun to weep, her body is already shaking and weary. Against all reasons, there is a bed in this place, untouched by the ravages of looting, which she collapses on. She realizes the truth of Royce's words. Rest will come, one way or another. The dream swallows her. Once more she walks to the doors of this castle, but they are whole, the wood polished and new. Within the halls there are bards and dancers, fair women and handsome men lead her further. A fit squire removes her armor so smoothly she forgets she ever worn it. A warm robe is draped over her shoulders. A tankard of mead placed in her hand. Pulled along by such delight, she finds herself before a feasting table. Oh man, this is the top of my hair. Her father and mother stand at the head, hale-hearted, faces radiant in the golden light of the castle. They spread their arms toward her. Rowan, you made it, Lyndon says. Rowan's chest goes tight. There they are, just as she remembered them. No scars. No scars save those no scars those earned in her youth. No bloody wounds. They're so happy. She drops the mead, running to them full tilt. Her father lifts her off her feet and spins her. Her mother smooths her hair and dabs away the tears at the corner of Rowan's eyes. You've come so far to see us, says Lyndon. We're so proud of you. Her mouth opens again and again, but she cannot speak. You need our counsel, don't you? Her father asked. Wordless, she nods. He takes the crown from his head and places it atop her own. Come to Castle Ardenvale. Your blood awaits you there. She walks alone in the dusty castle. Sunlight filters in through the broken windows. She must have slept the whole night through, alone, surrounded by death and cold. She allows herself another chance to weep. For when it is over, she will do as her father asked of her. She will go to Castle Ardenvale. Excuse me, sir, but have you seen any witches lately? This man, like all others, Cowan has asked before him, laughs. Oh, hey, there's one down the way. Sells the best pies in Edgewall. Tell her Duncan sent you. He's kind enough to toss it over a coin. Cowan tucks it away in a pouch, his shoulders slumping, his spirits bruised, but not broken. This is only the first steps on his journeys, right? There are so many people in Edgewall. One of them is bound to know something. All he has to do is keep at it. With a grunt of effort, he adjusts the pack on his shoulders and makes his way down the long, ambling street. All his life, his mother's told him stories of this place. Well, stories of places like this, of dwarves, fauns, knights, mages. They didn't feel real until now. Across the street from the pie shop, an elven woman sells enchanted wooden songbirds. Up ahead, a verdant knight speaks to a smith. There are banners and baubles everywhere the eye can land. He nods to himself as he walks, decided there's no better place to live than here. Already he can see the line at the shop doubled and tripled up. They really must make great pies, but there's no way she's a real witch. His mother always told him that cooking is the closest most people can get, though, so maybe the woman who runs it will know something. Kellen plants at the end of the line. As he waits, his eyes wander over the messengers running from one end to the other. The bard playing his lute. He hums along. A group of children in leaf route cloths toss pine cones back and forth in a fit of laughter and giggles. Cowan grins and watches them. But then he sees the sleeping man standing under the eaves of a shop, a swirl of violet around him. His eyes are closed, his mouth open as he sways, and drool falls on his armor. This must be the slumber merchant. Slumber the merchant told them about. His last visit. Sorry. Seeing it in person is a strange thing. How long he's been like this? There's a touch of rust where his spit hits his armor. Why doesn't anyone help him? Worse, somewhere in a hurry, bumps into the sleeper. The sleeper jerks, falls over, and no one helps him up. Cowan can't let that stand. He takes a step forward. The fallen knight. A hand on his wrist snaps him from his thoughts. He looks up. It looks up to its owner and finds a girl in a red cloak. Her brow furrowed. You might not want to do that. Kellen draws his hand back. Why not? He needs help. The girl winces. You're the kid who keeps asking people about witches. Kellen puts on a hero voice or tries, but then this crack undoes him. That might be depends on who's doing the asking. The girl laughs and shakes her head. She takes his hand again and starts tugging him along. All right, hero, you come with me. What about what about the man? Kellen asks. The wicked slumber spreads, though no one's really sure how, she answers. If you touch him, it might get you too. That's if the witches don't get you first. Kellen looks over his shoulder at the sleeper as the girl tugs him into an alley. Someone slips a wooden baking spatula under the man. With a little effort, he is upright once more. Whatever relief Cohen feels is mitigated by his surprise once he's realized what the girl just said. Wait, they're after me? The girl looks both ways down the alley before speaking. They're gonna be. If you keep asking questions like that, don't you know you shouldn't draw a witch's attention? Do you know a lot about witches? He asked. If you do, I could really use some help. I just got here, so I don't know a lot, but I've got a quest to finish. Quest? She says, giving him a quick assessment. You've got a quest? You don't even have a sword. Heroes don't need swords, he said. Really. But he says he leaves out the only sword. He leaves out that the only sword his stepfather owned was a rusty. Was so well, they typo there. Owned was rusty. There we go. So he could bring it. So he couldn't bring it. My bad. Besides, I got these from my lord, and they said they're just as good as any blade. These mean I'm a real hero. He brandishes the pair of basket hilts. Talian's parting gift. Old wood has grown to mimic the worked steel of human smithing, with a particular glowing proclaiming their unearthly provenance. They're sure to impress anyone. But the girl isn't just anyone, and she regards them with only a raised brow. When someone insists that something's real, it means it isn't. She sighs. Anyway, I wouldn't be much help. You've got to go down to Dunbarrow. My brother, Peter, he knows every inch of that place, like the back of his hand. He could help. Kellen styles his hilt with his bashful sorts of gratitude. Could you take me? The girl's expressions cloud under the brim of her cloak. I haven't seen him in days. I thought maybe you'd seen him since you're from out of town. Oh, Kellen softly says, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I don't think I met any Peters along the way here. Figures, says the girl. She turns. Well, I wish you all the best on your quest, hero. If you see my brother, tell him Ruby's waiting for him back at home. Kellen, shorter than her by a half a heed, shuffles after her. Wait. You can tell him yourself if you come with me. She stops. When she turns this time, her brow is raised. You're going to find him? I might, says Kellen. You said Dunbarrow's where all the witches are. You've been there, haven't you? Ruby dusts off her shoulder. Once or twice. I bet it's more than that, Kellen says. If you can help me find the witch I'm looking for, then maybe my liege can help you find your brother. Ruby tilts her head. And just who is your liege anyway? Oh no, he can't say it's the Lord of the Fae. That's no way to earn anyone's trust. But he can't lie either. Kellen's cheeks got hot. They don't like people talking about them very much, he says. It's true enough, right? But they're helping me find my father. That's what I get for finishing the quest. And a chance to know who he is. So I'm sure they'll help you and your brother. A pause. Ruby studying him. He tries to stand tall. You sure your liege can help? Kellen nods. Sure as a sheep's wool. Ruby's frowned for a second, then nods. The tension leaves her shoulders. All right. I guess someone's got to look out for you. And it might as well be me. And that is going to be chapter 1. Excitement going on here. Some nice funness. We have one amazing viewer at the moment, so this is going to be a little bit of a toke break as we lead into the other parts. Boy, man, they're really pushing that sadness on her family, you know.
Yeah.
Man, just like takes a nap and dreams about them being alive. Boy, stuff's getting deep. Hope you're all enjoying it. We're going to lead right into it right after this. I don't even think I got it in there. I didn't want too much. So. Blah, 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 blah. Excuse my language. Calling y'all Abrahams, right? Shout out to Abraham. Okay. We're going to continue on with a great sheep reference from Kellen there. He loves his sheep. And we move on. Over the heaths and through the barrow in search of witches they go. Okay, I see what you did there. From the stories his mother told him, Kellen expected the wilds to be prettier than this. Maybe it's the aftermath of the war. Ruby tells him that the sharp metallic aberrations dotting the countryside are Phyrexian remnants, hacked apart after the slumber stopped them in their tracks. Ooh. Those things used to be alive? He asked her. If you can call it alive, she answers, you really don't know. Stopping by one of them, what looks to be some kind of walking battery ram, she shows him the oil oozing from it, the face with its two weeping eyes. Kellen turns away, preferring the twisted trees of Domborough to the twisted bodies of invaders. Where did they come from? Somewhere else, says the boy king. Ruby explains. Some other realm. There are other realms? As they walk together through the woods, he does his best to keep up with the ignoble corpse behind him, focusing instead on the fitting shapes of pixies, the black streaks of birds overhead, and on darting stouts. What are they like? I don't know, Ruby answers. If they have those things in them, though, I'm fine without visiting the place. Besides, I'd never go anywhere without my brother. Kellen nods. I'd never go anywhere without my family either. Anywhere you know else? Ruby quirks a brow at him. Even if it was for your quest? He lets that one lie, unwilling to even consider it. Ruby clears a fallen bough with her surprising ease, then helps Kellen to do the same. When his feet hit the earth, water splashes on her shoes. She yelps. Somewhere in the woods around them, a pixie laughs. Sometimes, in memorials, it has been impolite to laugh at a struggling girl. It is the purview of a hero to defend such damsel. Oh no. Kellen frowns and prepares to shout the impish thing until Rudy picks up an apple from her basket and flings it hard as a giant flinging a boulder as fast as a crossbow bolt. The pixie yelps in misery. Ruby pouts. They're so annoying, she says, continuing along the unmarked path as she hadn't displayed such talents. Kellen, awestruck, can only follow. King's wound! What a shot! She stops to stare at him for saying such a thing. King's wound? Really? She says. It's just an apple. If you can do a lot more than those fancy swords your liege has given you. Let me see that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you can do a lot more than those fancy swords your liege has given you. It takes concerted effort not to trip when she says this, though there are no brambles in sight. She tries to think of something to say, he does, or what the best way to tell He has no idea how to turn the hilts into anything else useful. But the words are as tricky as the pixie ruby, so easily dispatched. All he manages is an unsure, hmm. But it makes a little difference, for at the moment an arrow whistles past his face, nicking the tip of his nose, before striking the tree nearest him. What are you thinking, an elf, an elven? What do you think? Kellen covers his face in alarm. Are those war drums he's hearing? Or his own frantic pulse? Though fear gotten the better of him, Ruby is quick to act as ever. She tackles Kellen into a blackberry bush. His mother's weaving keeps him safe from the thorns thirsty for blood, and the leaves keep him safe from their assailants. King's wound was that, Ruby whispered. No, King's wound, what was that? Ruby whispered. Beyond the border of the thicket they can see him, the man in wolf armor. Beneath the mail a blood-red gambeson seems an omen of wounds to come. The bow that shot the near fatal arrow is a wicket, as the thorns of a bush. Wicket as thorns of a bush. At his hip hangs a sword as long as Kellen's leg. The snarling metal maw of a wolf conceals all but his burning eyes, and he is staring right at them. Kellen's throat is tight. He saw a knight for the first time only hours ago. What is this thing? The wolf's knight strides towards them. Run, Kellen screams. Ruby doesn't need to be told twice. Throwing themselves from the bush, they scrabble to their feet and dash ahead. A wordless howl from the wolf knight peals through the forest. Crows flee their nest in terror. Even the pixies who tormented them earlier have cleared away. Another arrow whistles by Killian's shoulder. Now would be a great time for those magic swords, Ruby shouts. We can't keep running forever. Kellen swallows. Pressure mounts within his chest. He can't lie to her, but the hilts aren't swords either. They're just hilts.
Aw.
Talion said they'd help refine his abilities. Of course, in all time he's traveled with them. He hasn't been able to do anything except punch things a little harder. Or, well, it's better than nothing. Turning towards the wolf knight, Kellen hurls one of the hilts as hard as he can. It bounces uselessly off his armor, then flies back to Kellen's hand. Oops, he says. What was that? All right, okay, I've got this. Follow me, Ruby calls. Her groan hurts, but he can't blame her. Would it would be great if he did not know how to use them. He could probably slice clean through an oak tree if he did know how to use them with a foth wrought blade. But as it stands, he's kind of a joke. I'm sorry, I'm still learning. Wait, what are those? As they run beneath the massive body of a dead invader, they come upon a dozen creatures. If a toddler's malformed drawing of a wolf were given form, muscle, and fangs, it might resemble one of these beings. Their forelegs and haunches are dense with power, their muscles slick with blood. Witch stalkers, Ruby answers. You're not magical, right? Kellen winces. I'm not sure. Well, it's time to find out, Ruby says. He expects her to stop or hide or lead the witch stalkers back toward the wolf knight, but Ruby does no such thing. She runs towards the pack of witch stalkers, weaving between them, her cloak dragging past their faces. By the time she's clear of them, she's wearing a giddily smile beneath that hood. Easily enough for her to do. There's a pit in Kellyan's stomach, though, as he looks at the witch stalkers. His lord's gifts, or his father's blood, might doom him should he risk it. But he has his mother love to keep him. He has his mother's love to keep him safe. A thick coat that's fought off plenty so far. He throws up on his own hood. If Ruby can do it, Kellyan can too. Hard as he can, he runs between the gathered witch stalkers. He's halfway through before he realizes the high pitched yelling he hears is coming from his own mouth. a sound between the wail of a ghost and the laugh of a child at play. Every beat of his heart feels stolen and glorious. Though he doesn't linger to see if the creatures will attack him, when he clears the pack, he still finds himself doubling over with relief. They didn't bite him, not even a nibble. He laughs earnestly. He did it. He really did it. His first brush with adventure. Ruby offers Kellyanne a hand up, and he takes it. Looking back the way they came, the wolf's knight stepped into the clearing. Ooh, that picture is sick. Come on, whispered Ruby. He's got to be magical. Two youths, hoarding their breath like a dragon hoards gems, stare down the wolf knight. Their pursuer, in turn, lets out another wordless howl. The witch stalkers answer. As their own heads perk, they turn towards the wolf knight. Their growls resonate in Kellyanne's chest. The wolf knight runs into the woods as the witch stalkers give chase. I think we're safe, he says, huffing. He grins. He did it, Ruby. She stares at the witch stalkers as they take off. It looks like she can't believe she's still standing. Yeah, I guess I did, she says. Relieved, Kellyanne turns and notices the cabin for the first time. He's not sure how neither of them saw it before. Well, that's not good. Maybe this is what his mother meant whenever she talked about the chaos of melee. When you're busy trying to make sure you get out of something alive, you aren't always paying attention to the horizon. Still, it's hard to miss. The house is thorny and black. It is made of blackberry brambles, standing twice as tall as those back home. Violet windows pulse with light from within. All around the house, there is a thicket of violet mist. That doesn't sound very pretty. Ruby, Kellen says, taking her hand to get her attention. Look, that's the witch's house. It's gotta be. It takes her only a glance to agree with him. Now, I'll be damned. You're right, she says. What should we do? Those windows are huge. We can try to peek inside, then figure out how we're going to defeat her, Kellyanne says. He hopes Ruby won't ask for more details than that. Luckily, she didn't. The two of them slink through the twisting trees and thick bushes towards the house. Burrs cling to Kellyanne's cloak. He thinks of each one as a well wish from his father. He's so close to finishing the first witch off. Will Kellyanne give him a hint? Maybe a riddle? The thought of discovering more is as tempting as fresh fruit on a hot summer day. The brush allows them to get right beneath the lowest of the witch's window. Here at the bottom, the glass is thick, distorting the two figures in the cabin. One, Kellyanne thinks, is the witch. She walks in a broad circle around a large darkness in the center of the room. Smoke rises from whatever it is she's guarding. The other figure is slumped over, there back at the window. A real cauldron, Kellyanne mumbles. I wonder what she's using it for. Eating people, answers Ruby readily. I've heard a couple rumors that there was somebody nearby boiling people's bones into stew. And that's definitely not a cauldron. And she's definitely got someone tied up. That's definitely a cauldron, is what she said. Witches don't eat people, Kellyanne says. My mom was almost a witch and she never did anything like that. Have you considered that maybe that's why she was almost a witch and not a witch? Ruby asked. She tugs on his cloak. Get down. I think she's coming. She is. She is. The witch is pacing around her bobbling cauldron, brings her toward them now. Kellyanne and Ruby duck beneath the windowsill in time to avoid her glaze, but only just. Even though the glass, her eyes are wicked and piercing, a violet not unlike the glowing surrounding them. So what's the plan? Ruby asked. Kellyanne puts his hand on his chins, and he is considering one. The deception, such as it is, lasts a second at most. Then he shrugs. We're going to play it by ear? What? Ruby hisses, eyes narrowing. You can't be serious. This is a real life witch in there. We aren't going to be able to win with magic, and we don't even have any weapons, Killian says. He slinks around the corner of the cabin, careful to keep from touching the cursed plumes of smoke along the ground. And I've got this new friend who taught me the value of improvising. Improvising is one thing, but this is asking for trouble, Ruby says, following him anyway. Killian waves at her to stay put. He points his eyes then to the window. Let me know when she's facing away from the door, he says. Ruby frowns, but stays beneath the window. Meanwhile, Killian leans an ear against the door. From within, he hears a keening song, delivered without much care for rhythm or melody. The singer is nonetheless enthralled with the sound of her own voice. When I was a hungry night, I wandered in. Is this his song? I'm making sure. Okay. When I was a hungry night, wandered in, wild at heart and covered in tin. A night. She's going to eat a night? How easy it was to beat her, in truth, but now hard to eat her without breaking a tooth. I guess I cared about the cadence of it. Sweet rolls down, sweat rolls, sweat rolls down Killian's brow. Ruby was right. This isn't normal. This isn't any normal witch. She's nothing like his mother. If they don't act fast, that knight's probably going to die. But what to do? He doesn't have much time to think. From around the corner, he sees a blur of red, another apple thrown by his new friend. A fine signal, he thinks, until he hears the apple thunk against metal. A glance over his shoulder is all he can afford, but he already knows he's going to be seen. The Wolf Knight. Had he already fought off the witch stalkers? Yes, and this shape sinking through the mist, covered in blood. He can't leave Ruby outside with him. He can't let the witch eat the knight. If he saves the knight inside, maybe she can fight off the one outside. And maybe when the witch is gone, the wolf knight will just fade away. That's what happened to conjured guardians in stories, anyway. Kellyan plucks a blur from his cloak. Dad, if you're listening, please make me brave enough to do this. He doesn't wait for an answer because he knows he can't, but just has to have faith that it'll work. Kellyan opens the door, quiet and quick as a mouse, slinking through a cat's domain. He scurries over to the center of the room where the witch continues her awful song. Lashed to a rod near the bobbling cauldron is a rugged woman clad in armor, her right arm made from solid wood. Bleary and delirious, she locks eyes with him. Kellyan can't see the hope in her eye when she does that. Oh, brave knight, what shall I do? Boil and bubble, broth and brew. Oh, brave knight, I'll make you a stew. The witch is so preoccupied with stirring her foul-smelling brew that she has not yet noticed him. She stands before the cauldron, leveling a crooked finger at the knight. For once she drops the sing-song. But what's the spice to use? I don't suppose you know what you taste best with, do you? Die in a fire, the knight spits. She glances at Kelly and then gives him a covert nod. The witch, however, turns back towards the cauldron. She shakes her head, then reaches into her pocket. That isn't very kind. I need this fire for cooking you. There is an art to this, you know. I can't just throw anything in there and hope it'll end up gourmet. Whatever's in that bag she dumps and makes Kellyan want to vomit. But he keeps it together. He has a job to do, and he has an opening here. Like the rams on his farm, he lowers his head and charges. You're the one that's cooked, Kellyan answers. Oh, that's a great picture. I wonder if that's got to be a card. Nice. He hears the witch howl when he slams into her, and he hears her scream as she falls into the cauldron, but he tries not to think about implications of any of it. A puff of black smoke rises. The smell so acrid it brings tears to his eyes. Kellyan runs towards the knight. There might be time to think about what he's done later. Right now, he needs to make sure Ruby's safe, and the best way to do that is to free this woman. Can you fight? He asked, hands hands working the knots around her wrist. One of her arms, he noticed, is made of strange, pliable wood that struggles just like flesh and muscle. Kirk, if you get me my hammer. It isn't an easy that fills him with confidence, but it's what he's got. The ropes fall away. He scans the chaotic mess of the cabin in search of the warhammer. There, it's slumped against a counter covered in all manner of viscera and gore, and with jars labeled "Eyes of Newt" and "Toe of Frog." As he runs for the hammer, Ruby dashes through the door. He's almost here. The knight's going to save us, Killian says. He can't lift the hammer, but he can drag it over. She can still fight. He hands the hammer to the knight who stands, or tries to. But Killian learns here an important lesson. Not all knights can be heroes all the time. The one that is far too exhausted, far too beaten, she collapses back into her ignoble seat. Kellyan's heart is somewhere in his throat when the wolf knight walks through the door, covered in blood, his sword freshly used. Had they come all this way only to get up, Kellyan says, shoving the knight. You can do this. Come on. You can defend the realm. That was a long time ago, the knight mumbled. Yet once she tries to stand, and once more she falls. The wolf knight stops at the threshold. Ruby hurls a jar of something foul. Clay shatters against his armor. He turns away. Ruby, bellows the wolf knight. I finally found you. Ruby's eyes go wide. She stands from her hiding spot, lowers her hood. The wolf knight doffs his helm. Beneath his face of a grizzled woodsman, his beard thick and his hair unkempt, yet eyes of kind and his smile warm, he spreads his arm. Ruby, it's me, Peter! Ruby shouts. I did not think that was Peter. Goddamn. She runs to him, and he is there to meet her, lifting her up and spinning her around before everybody likes spun in this thing. Before he sets her down on her feet. What happened? Are you all right? I don't know. I've never seen this place before today. I went out hunting, and there was this awful song. He says, This is a witch's cabin, isn't it? She must have enchanted me. I'm so sorry I scared you, but I'm happy you're safe. Ruby throws her arms around him. Don't worry, she says. I'll forgive you if you forgive me for sicking the witch stalkers on you. He tousles her hair. I expected no less from you. You were always the clever one in the family, he says. Then he turns toward Kellyan and the knight. You there, boy, you helped my sister, didn't you? Whatever you ask me, only speak it, and I will grant it, if it's within my power to do so. She did most of the work, but if you want to help, I have to get the cauldron to my liege. They said I needed to show them I'd say no more. You need someone to carry it? I shall, Peter says. His eyes fall to the injured knight and winces. I must have caused you great harm. My apologies. The knight groans. Wasn't a fair fight between you and that crone. Stay here. Once we've moved the cauldron to its destination, Ruby and I can make a healing salve. There are plenty of ingredients here, and I think I remember something of herb lore. If the knight has any counter argument, her mind is too addled with pain to make it. Peter enlists Ruby and Kellen's help with the cauldron. The two of them together hold up one side while he lifts the other, bearing the majority of the weight. Kellyan tries not to think of what's sloshing around inside. Together they were able to move it through the threshold, but instead of the violet mist, Talion's court greets them on the other side. This time the kindly lord does not make themselves visible. Killian knows they are present only when familiar music plays around them. There are no pleasantries this time. Their advice is quick and to the point. Hilda is the next witch you seek. Her magic is great, her skill yet greater. She has concealed herself from my eyes, but consult the mirror in drawn, and you may find her. Torn from the castle Vantress by Gara Gransquall, it now lies far from its home. Worry not, my wisdom will save you the trouble of hunting it down. A beanstalk grows not half a day's ride from here. Climb it, and you will find the mirror at its peak. No sooner have they finished speaking than the court disappeared. Forgotten as a dream, the trio stands once more before the cabin. Ruby staring at him. Your liege is the faking, she says. Is that does that upset you? Killian says. I was going to ask if you wanted to come. I could really use your help, both of you. I'd be no help to you, wounded as I am, Peter says. I'll not be in fighting shape for days yet. Ruby looks from Killian to Peter and back again. She sighs. You help me find my brother, so I'll help you. But let's rest for a while. We can tend to the night's wounds and figure out what it is we're going to do. Killian's fingers are shaking. But do you hate that I'm working with the Fae? He's surprised how much Ruby scoffs him at ease. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? That just means you're braver than I thought. And that he can live with. And that is episode 2.
Nice.
Oh, that was a good one. It was quick. It didn't have any. Yeah. Next episode is Two Great Banquets. Episode 3. There's 5 episodes to this. I don't know if there's any more coming out,
I don't know.
but it's getting pretty spicy.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to be coming up on a beanstalk story, so we're going to get some giants involved.
Yeah, Giants are in Eldraine.
Yep. So,
Mm-hmm.
and Hilda is the next witch. Interesting. But hey, for next time, if you all check this out, go ahead and give it a like, and comment, and subscribe. And we will definitely see you again on episode 3 of Wilds of Eldraine. Peace out and stay groovy.